Tonight, an inside look at the Sikhs, separating fact from fiction. Hi, I'm Terry Gleikoff. Canada is many different people, and the Sikhs are a small but vocal community, yet we really don't know who they are. In this special two-part edition of Pacific Report, we learn more about this mysterious and influential subculture. Tonight, Robert Osborne reports on the Sikhs' customs and religion.
Sunrise, a time Sikhs call the ambrosial hour, a time to meditate on God, a time when Sikhs rise to say their morning prayers. Sikhism stresses self-development and constant attention to the needs of others. Its holy book, the Granth Sahib, a collection of poems written by the 10 founding gurus, stresses truth, the beauty of nature, and the need to find harmony in life. But not many Canadians see this facet of the religion or the community. Instead, they see this, wild mobs chanting "Death to India," and the gruesome aftermath of Air India Flight 182. But branding the community based on these images is as simplistic as saying all Quebecois were members of the FLQ. Sikhs do have a strong martial tradition. Unlike Christianity, their religion doesn't turn the other cheek. But balancing the martial tradition is an equally strong poetic tradition. For 500 years, the Sikh ideal has been to be a man of peace, but ready at any time to defend the faith. Most of Canada's 200,000 Sikhs live here in British Columbia. The community is very successful and very diverse. The bulk come from small farming villages in the Punjab, but there's also a percentage whose roots are more urban and professional. In Canada, they're everything from mill workers to Supreme Court judges. They're all across the political spectrum. They're mostly just ordinary folks, but they're also from India, and that does make a difference. The Punjab, the breadbasket of India, home to 13 million Sikhs. They've shared this section of northwestern India with Hindus and Muslims for 500 years. In 1499, a philosopher-poet named Nanak founded Sikhism here. Nanak was a Hindu who spent much of his life studying religions. At the age of 30, he had a divine revelation. His new beliefs became the foundation for Sikhism. There was one God. God was truth. The basic tenets were work, worship, and charity. There would be no caste. Men and women would be equal. Your life would be an expression of your religion. A communal kitchen. Every Sikh temple has one. It's called a langar. It symbolizes equality, a sharing of food by all regardless of caste. That may not sound like a revolutionary concept, but in India in the 1500s, when the Guru Nanak formed the first langar, the idea was radical. Some Sikh ideas were too radical for the Muslim rulers in northern India. 2 of the 10 founding gurus were martyred. The final guru, Gobind Singh, fought back. He founded the Khalsa, almost a religion within a religion. Khalsa Sikhs would defend the faith. They would be saints and soldiers.
It's part of the religious philosophy that a Sikh is a warrior. If Sikhism is threatened, then the Sikh should come to its defense. Must to be a Sikh.
Hugh Johnson teaches immigration history at Simon Fraser University.
As a warrior, you should show the virtues of a sant. As a sant, you must show the courage of a warrior. So it's one. Let me put it another way. There's no duality in the notion of a sant warrior.
Did you join me?
Okay,
No, one person joined, who joined something, and then he joined soccer. He joined soccer. I see, doesn't join soccer.
Ripudaman Singh Malik is a Khalsa Sikh. Following the centuries-old tradition of Guru Gobind Singh, he has sworn to defend the faith. He wasn't always this way, but 9 years ago, Malik and his wife Raminder took Amrit, the Sikh equivalent of being baptized. He joined the Khalsa.
I was afraid and I kept on postponing it because all my friends were non-Khalsa and I thought that I would lose all my friends. But looking back today, I'm glad I did it, and I'm happy that I don't have the parties anymore and I don't have those wasteful nights anymore.
Now Malik lives by a rigid set of religious principles.
One has certain principles to live by, and we all acknowledge that those principles are good.
I took Amrit in 1978, 6 months later after my husband did. And I didn't feel that much of a need, but it is to keep the family together that I did take Amrit. But later on, when I had the Amrit, then I realized that I had done the right thing.
The Malik family has a small temple or gurdwara at home. Every morning and evening, they pray together.
It's like not only that's my family, they're also my co-religious people. I pray with them, I eat with them, I do all the things with them. We do it together.
What do you think? It's good.
Like other Khalsa Sikhs, Malik wears a sort of uniform: uncut hair and a comb concealed by a turban, a steel bracelet, military undershorts, and a sword. Each item has a symbolic value. They set him apart from other people and constantly remind him of his faith. They're often referred to as the 5 Ks because in Punjabi, the word describing each symbol starts with a K.
We'll try it, and we'll get the black skirt anyway, so.
Malik's in the fashion business. There's no restrictions in the religion about what you do for a living. In fact, Sikhism encourages disciples to lead an active working life. But as a Khalsa Sikh, Malik can't smoke or drink alcohol. He must build his life on the principle of truth.
Each and every step I take, I have to consult my religion, that I'm right. I have to do the whole thing. And the religion, my religion, is a whole life.
I'm not what maybe an Orthodox Sikh, but then there's, in any religion there you have the Orthodox and the less Orthodox, and there's different degrees of how religious a person is.
Dhaliwal is another successful Sikh businessman. He's into real estate, owns a cleaning company, and he also runs a fleet of white limos that serve Vancouver's airport. If Herb looks much more Western than Malik, it's not surprising. His family helped pioneer this province.
I feel very good the fact that I can move between both cultures with total comfort. And my view is you take the best of both those cultures and still be active in both those cultures and feel comfortable. I can be a Sikh and not have the 5 Ks because I believe in the philosophy of the Sikhism. And I think in that regard, I'm a Sikh. And I believe in compassion, I believe in human rights, and I believe that people are equal. And all these things are very fundamentals of Sikhism.
How far did you went today?
We went about, I guess, 15 miles.
Dhaliwal is a blend of East and West. He's into the fitness craze, likes to do lunch and attend social functions. But being Western in his thoughts and appearance doesn't mean he's abandoned his religion. He also speaks fluent Punjabi, and his marriage to his wife Amrit was arranged. And like fundamentalist Sikhs, Dhaliwal strongly believes in one of the most basic tenets of their religion, standing up for his rights.
I've learned throughout my life that you have to fight for what you get. And many times, many people, if they get a no, they might walk away from it and forget about it. But if I get a no and I feel that I'm within my rights, I'll be more aggressive. If I feel that there's an injustice being done, whether it's because some bureaucracy is not understanding the problem, or a certain bureaucrat, or if there's some racism involved, I'll stand up for my rights and fight for my rights.
This boy right there.
Families like the Dhaliwals who arrived at the turn of the century tend to be secular. Newer families like the Maliks, who arrived in the early 1970s, tend to be Orthodox. That difference is a key dividing line in Vancouver's Sikh community. Orthodox Sikhs criticize the older families for abandoning their Punjabi customs, for not keeping the 5 Ks. Established families reply by saying Canada was very different when they arrived.
The circumstances were such that you had to integrate and assimilate. There was no such thing as multiculturalism. And people didn't want to be different. And I think that the new group of people came, it was a totally different environment.
Adapting to North America has led to confrontation. When we come back, we'll look at the tensions that split the Sikh community and those customs that pull it together. Historians placed the first Sikhs in Canada in 1908. Like other immigrants, they'd heard about the abundance of land and especially jobs. When Sikhs first came to Canada at the turn of the century, they settled in 3 main locations: in Vancouver, Williams Lake, and here at Paldy, near Duncan on Vancouver Island. Sikhs came to work in the sawmills, and Paldy was a big lumber town. In fact, at its height, Paldy was described as being more like a Punjabi village than a Canadian town.
Their goal was to work and make some money and save some money and then go back to India and live comfortably ever after.
Singh arrived in Canada with his father in 1921.
They were very honest, sincere, hard work, and then they were hefty and strong. And then most of the work was bulwark, where you had to lift lumber or push lumber on little trucks.
Canada wasn't quite the promised land. Sikhs did find jobs, but at 10 cents an hour. Their white counterparts were making 25 cents. And worst of all, they had to live as bachelors.
most of these mills, they were bachelors, they're living in camps. They had one cookhouse where they would eat and then go to sleep in their bunkhouses. There'd be about 40, 50, 60 people in each of these mills.
Sikhs had to sail directly from India to Vancouver to immigrate, but there were no direct routes. Vancouver Sikhs challenged that immigration law. In 1914, they chartered their own boat, the Komagata Maru. Immigration refused them permission to land, and the Canadian Navy escorted the ship out of Vancouver Harbor. But Sikhs kept up the pressure, and gradually the Canadian government began to ease its policies. Wives and fiancés were the first allowed in.
They could come here to get married. That law was, we managed to convince the immigration department to allow us to do that.
Immigration was restricted until 1968. When the quotas were abolished, thousands of Sikhs, most of them from small villages, many of them traditional or Khalsa, arrived in Canada. The existing community, which had fought the immigration battles of the 30s and 40s, now found themselves, once again, under attack. This time from the newcomers.
There was a new influx of people who had a slight or different interpretation of what the Granth Sahib said and what the old traditions were.
The new battleground became the temples, the center of Sikh life. A fight for control during the mid-1970s fragmented the community. They're still dealing with that fragmentation. At the time, they merely split into different groups.
Any community which is of human beings would have differences and splits. We are a family of 7 people. If we have to make a decision, it takes us time to make a decision. How can we, 100,000 Sikhs, agree on one thing?
These days, you choose your temple based to some extent on your political beliefs. There are temples for Khalsa Sikhs and temples for the clean-shaven. It may work well as a simple rule of thumb to divide Sikhs into those who are new and orthodox and those who are established and secular. But to really understand the community, you have to dig a little deeper. You have to understand the second major influence on a Sikh's life, his Punjabi customs.
Being orthodox in our family, I knew where my values were. I knew that dating was not a part of our custom.
Hardeep and Kamaljit Sidhu are Khalsa Sikhs. They're part of the younger phase of the wave of immigrants who arrived in the early 1970s. Both were raised in traditional houses. They weren't childhood sweethearts. They didn't date at university, but their families decided they'd make a perfect match.
I've always been for an arranged marriage because I understand the practicality behind it. You're not only falling in love with a physical being, you're looking into the finances, you're looking into the social being of that person. And with arranged marriages or with Sikh marriages, you're not just marrying a person, you marry a family.
My father has told her father everything about my habits, my education, my age, the things I do. And her parents did the same to my parents. And this is where, when they added up everything together, they truly felt that this would definitely be a compatible marriage.
Arranged marriages commonly occur in the Sikh community. Even secular Sikhs use them. They say these matchups last longer. They're not based on impulse.
It's not falling in love, it's growing love is what it is. So with couples say that fall in love, perhaps the love wears off after 6 months or so. Whereas ours, it's bonding us even closer and closer after the marriage.
Kamaljit and Hardeep live with his parents, his 2 brothers, and their wives, an extended family, common in the Punjab. Both Hardeep and Kamaljit say this lifestyle presents no problems. In fact, they say there's a strength to be drawn from the closeness of the extended family.
We do sit down occasionally, speak to my father and mother, and we discuss things. We've all got a lot of confidence in each other and ourselves, and everyone just works out really well.
I think they take pride in being separate and visible and everything. They think it's kind of neat to be visible out there. And to me, I thought it was more important to be with the rest of the world and still be in touch with my own community.
Harj Panesar is thoroughly modern. He works in a high-tech industry. He likes to look sharp, contemporary. He's well-educated, motivated towards success. But he's not quite thoroughly Western. He belongs to the same wave of immigration that brought over Hardeep and Kamaljit. Harj has adapted to North American ways very quickly. Some Sikhs would say too quickly.
No, I'm not typical. Typical, non-traditional, whatever.
Harj's Western attitudes caused problems with his parents. Harj married a Caucasian woman. He didn't see this as an act of rebellion, just a realization that Canada is very different from the Punjab.
You don't really have to do much in India to grow up. I mean, your parents do everything for you. They line up jobs, they line up family for you, they put you in a nice home or whatever. But here, for them, it's a big shock to see their son moving out of the house.
Yeah, they think I've deceived him somehow or tricked him or done something to him. And I was the one that made him move out of the house, and I've kind of taken him away from them. And they were just really upset, and they wanted him back.
For a lot of Sikh, they think the white way is not a good way, it's a bad way. And for them, it's going out and having fun, partying and all that stuff. And they don't consider those the acceptable ways.
Harj's parents feel that he's brought shame on himself and the whole family.
For them, I'm taking the wrong direction. And to me, I think I've just moved out. I've gotten into a bigger circle of life rather than being a limited area.
We can always pull up the pictures.
There's nothing in the Sikh holy book that says Harj can't marry a Caucasian woman. Arranged marriages aren't part of the Granth Sahib either. Harj hasn't broken any religious rules, but he has broken with a Punjabi custom. And after all, aside from religion, Punjabi custom is the biggest influence in a Sikh's life.
Because when I started in kindergarten, we had 2 Sikhs in my kindergarten class. Now it's almost all Sikhs, I'd say.
When they built the Sikh temple, that everybody's moving out of the neighborhood because they thought the price is going to go down and everything.
I think it's gone up.
I know.
Breaking with customs from the old country is one of the biggest issues in the Sikh community. The problem is there's so much intermixing of religion and customs that people get confused about what kind of a taboo is being broken. Of course, some Sikhs just don't want to break with the old ways. If you scan the Sikh newspapers, you'll still see people looking for mates based on their caste.
So Jat Sikh marries Jat Sikh, Aurora Sikh marries Aurora Sikh, and so on.
Historian Hugh Johnson.
The teaching of the Guru was that there is no caste distinction in the eyes of God. So that again is cultural.
And the Sikh holy book is also very specific about the equality of women. In practice, custom, not religion, takes priority.
As far as the Sikhism is concerned, men and women are equal. But when you go into the Gurdwara, the women sit to the left and the men to the right. That is customary. That comes out of the culture, not out of the religion.
In the Punjab, men are the breadwinners. Women raise the kids and keep the house clean. In some houses, the women still eat after the men.
But here, the rules of the game change, and they don't know where they stand. They want their husband to give hand in the household work. But then it causes some conflicts.
Sheila Moonalal is the executive director of Oasis, a community services center set up to help Indo-Canadians integrate.
What we'll be doing here is meeting every day for 4 hours and learning how to present ourselves for a job, how to conduct and present ourselves in an interview.
Adapting Punjabi ways of thinking to a Canadian lifestyle is something new Sikhs find very difficult.
Yes, she's changing very badly, you know. It's bad for my culture and my custom and my normal way of life. I'm not used to it, She shouldn't work. She should stay home.
Rules applied to a small village in the Punjab often don't work here.
All these different concepts of individuality, concept of freedom, concept of permissiveness, equality of rights, these are all very threatening to the family structure.
Adjusting to Canada leads to tensions between husbands and wives, parents and children, young and old.
Everyone is going through the process of sorting out what are the traditions or values that they should retain and what are the values that they should give up.
Asking a Sikh to compromise his culture is one thing. Asking him to compromise his religion is an extremely different matter. Religion defines a Sikh. Khalsa Sikhs devote their lives to defending the faith, and devout followers would die for their beliefs. When we come back, we'll see what happens when a Sikh thinks his religion is under attack. The bloody consequences of the raid on the Golden Temple.
Tomorrow, we continue our investigation on how the Sikhs' customs and religions color their politics. And you'll meet Talwinder Singh Parmar. Some Sikhs revere him as a modern warrior saint, but others condemn him as Canada's #1 terrorist. And terrorism is one of the labels that is tainting the image of the Sikhs. I'm Terry Glaikoff. Join us tomorrow for part 2 of our special Pacific Report at 7. To defend the faith, the Sikhs speak out and the whole world listens. Hello, I'm Terry Glaikoff. Tonight, part 2 of our special edition. Robert Osborne reports on how Sikh religion and customs can affect their politics and how those politics can turn into turmoil. And you'll meet a Sikh leader who is seen as either a warrior saint or a common terrorist.
As much as Canada is a mosaic, Canada's Sikh community is a miniature mosaic. There are Sikhs who have been in the country for nearly 100 years. There are Sikhs who've just arrived. Name an occupation, you'll find Sikhs working in it.
We've come a long way from a community which pioneered the sawmill industry on Vancouver Island to where we are today, where we have people involved in all sorts of professional business and athletic endeavors. And we have people like Wally Opal, who is now a judge, people like myself who've got involved in the political field, and people who have a lot of talent in business that have been very successful.
Mo Sihota is the first Sikh member of BC's Legislative Assembly.
People don't see me as the Sikh politician. They see me as the MLA from Esquimalt, Port Renfrew, representing the concerns of my community.
Sikhs are a people who are proud of their customs. They're a people who are dedicated to their religion, a people who strongly believe in standing up for their rights. Sikhs believe that religion and politics are one and the same, and they have a martial tradition that goes back nearly 500 years. But they also have a poetic side that stresses truth and the need for harmony in life. They're both saints and soldiers, sworn to defend the faith. In June of 1984, Canadians were shocked to see scenes like this on their televisions. What caused these demonstrations was Operation Blue Star, the Indian Army's invasion of the Golden Temple, the holiest of Sikh shrines.
I cried when Golden Temple was invaded. It's just quite emotional. You feel that it's part of you who's being really hurt, badly hurt.
The next day we had all our Sikh friends come over, and we had a gathering where we read the Holy Scriptures, and then we had some hymn singing. And I remember my brother sang one hymn. It was Mitra Pyare Nuhal Meri Dandakana, and what it means is, tell my dearest and best friend the type of condition I'm in right now. My brother sang that hymn, and everybody was just in tears, and nobody could stop crying for about a couple of hours. And we just carried on like that. That was just the state that everybody was in. They were so torn apart.
I don't think there was any Sikh who wasn't upset at that time. I was upset too. And I don't think that the Canadians can realize this unless it happens to them. Only the wearer knows where the shoe pinches.
There's no question that the invasion of the Golden Temple had a profound emotional impact on Canada's Sikh community, and that it led to a deep mistrust between Sikhs and the Indian government. But to understand the depth of that mistrust, you have to look at Indian history. From a Sikh's perspective, they've been getting a raw deal in the Punjab since India gained independence in 1947.
At the stroke of the midnight hour, when the world sleeps, India will awake to life and freedom.
Sikhs worried about living in a nation dominated by Hindus, worried about their freedom of worship, their language rights. They wanted Punjabi to be the official language of their homeland. They began to push the government for their rights. The government pushed back.
The longer the government delayed, the more the tempers flared, which eventually were expressed through violence in the streets.
Patwant Singh is an author and historian.
And the police came and, to restore order and started firing, and people were killed and so on, which further aggravated the situation, and situations deteriorate in these kind of conditions.
When Indira Gandhi came to power in the early 1960s, she looked as if she'd be a strong supporter of Sikh rights. She finally made Punjabi the official language, but reduced the size of the Punjab. In the late 1970s, Indira Gandhi's Congress Party was rocked by scandal and defeated in a general election. A coalition party took their place in the Punjab.
The Congress Party, headed by Mrs. Gandhi, conceived of a strategy to embarrass this coalition in Punjab. And that strategy was to create a counter-magnet for the Sikhs. In other words, that they should have another charismatic figure who they should support. And the idea was to find such a figure and prop up such a figure.
To regain power, Gandhi's method was divide and conquer. To split the Sikhs, she started supporting a small village priest named Jarnail Singh Bhindranwala. He toured the countryside speaking against the party that traditionally represented the Sikhs, the Akali Dal. Gandhi's plan succeeded, but after the election her party won, she found that she no longer controlled Bhindranwala.
Been encouraging Bhindranwala initially and leaving him room to move, they created a monster.
Historian Hugh Johnson.
Eventually they realized that this was a monster that they would have to do something about.
Bhindranwala not only spoke against the Akali Dal party, but also against the government. He moved into the Golden Temple and began to fortify it.
As one approached the temple, you could see the barricades in the Langur building and a few of the other buildings where sandbags had been put up, and there would be guys sitting there with rifles and machine guns.
Amarjit Rattan is a Canadian filmmaker who traveled in the Punjab just prior to the attack on the Golden Temple.
As one entered the temple, the same thing, there was, a fairly good concentration of firepower in the hands of a lot of young guys.
Violence flared in the Punjab. Murders began. People disappeared.
There's, random killings in villages and smaller towns, that type of thing. There was, the odd instance where you'd have a newspaper editor, a Hindu newspaper editor being gunned down, or some politician in New Delhi being gunned down.
Both sides used strong-arm tactics to enforce their views.
Essentially everywhere I went there was daily curfews after 6 or 7 o'clock. Fairly large paramilitary presence on the streets in all towns.
The militants in the army seemed to be at a standoff. On June 4th, 1984, Indian paratroopers supported by tanks and artillery attacked the Golden Temple. That action started a cycle of bloodshed that continues to this day. 2 Sikhs assassinated Indira Gandhi. Hindus retaliated in New Delhi, some say at the government's instigation. Air India Flight 182 was blown from the air. The world, and particularly Canada, found itself dragged into Punjabi politics. The invasion ignited Sikhs. It rekindled the tradition of the saint soldier in the hearts of many.
The Sikhs have not yet risen. When they do, the world will know. So far, we're only defending ourselves.
Talwinder Singh Parmar. Some see him as the modern incarnate of the saint soldier. The Indian government sees him as a terrorist. He's wanted in India for allegedly murdering 2 policemen.
All Sikhs are members of the same family. The tanks which are at the Golden Temple are crushing the soul of every Sikh, and until we shake them off, how can we sleep at night?
Today, Parmar wears the uniform of a 16th century Sikh warrior. 18 years ago, Parmar was a clean-shaven Vancouver mill worker. He went through a religious rebirth, became part of the Khalsa. A trip to the Punjab convinced him that because of political power games, his religion was under attack.
My soul was so hurt at this time, there was no choice but to go and raise the strength and unity of the Sikhs.
Along with other militants, Parmar decided the faith needed defending. He refounded the Babar Khalsa, a militant Sikh organization fighting for Khalistan, an independent Sikh homeland.
Khalistan is not the goal. The goal is serving our religion. If Khalistan is created tomorrow, is that it? Standing against terrorism of any kind is our goal. Everyone has a right to be free from oppression.
Parmar left Canada this summer and has since gone underground.
It is a bunch of terrorists.
Jagdish Sharma is the Consul General for India in Vancouver.
You have terrorists in some countries in Europe. You have yourself had, when there was a separatist movement, some problem you have faced of terrorism here.
Sharma sees the violence in the Punjab as the work of a few terrorists based in Pakistan. He calls the bloodshed a social disturbance.
Firstly, India is a country of 800 million people. When you have 800 million people living in an area less than 1/3 of Canada, there are bound to be some kinds of problems. Some social disturbances from time to time are bound to be there.
Sharma denies the allegations that the government of Rajiv Gandhi is persecuting Sikhs. He says Sikhs have always taken an active role in the development of India.
Sikhs are 2% of our population, of India's population. Sikhs are represented in every single sphere of our activity, of our government, 4 to 5 times their percentage, and in case of some of the branches of government 8 to 10 times of their percentage. So where is the question of oppression?
But Parmar and many Vancouver Sikhs don't buy the official line. They talk of relatives and friends who've been arrested, taken away without charge. They say rumors of torture abound. And no one forgets the New Delhi riots. When news that Indira Gandhi had been assassinated by her 2 Sikh bodyguards hit the streets, the mob mentality took over. Gangs of Hindus roamed New Delhi looking for revenge. In the ensuing riots, thousands of Sikhs were beaten, tortured, and killed.
The police were looking the other way and so on. The military was not called in until it was too late, until the killings had been effected and so on. I mean, how can these things happen? And how is it that after the riots, not one person has been charged and not one person has been punished or put in the dock? These were orchestrated, and the criminals responsible are being protected by the ruling party and the government.
The government has done everything possible to redress the grievances of the people who suffered in the riots. There is absolutely no question that what happened was most unfortunate. But in fact, a lot of emotional healing has taken place.
Under no circumstances can the Sikhs forget these double standards. The whole sort of raison d'etre of Sikhism, when it was first founded, the faith, was against tyranny, against injustice. And if they perceive themselves at the receiving end of a very unjust system, then how can they ever have complete confidence in it?
People say, well, why are you concerned with a problem so far away? And I'd have to ask them, would the Jewish people be concerned if there's a problem in Israel? And could you ask them to totally divorce themselves from what's happening in Israel? And so you can't totally divorce yourself from a situation where your family comes from.
Canadian Sikhs strongly desire some kind of settlement in the Punjab. After all, many of their families live there. But just how far will Sikhs go to reach that settlement? Coming up next, the Golden Temple and Khalistan. Are they a call back to the faith or a call to terrorism?
ट्राई किया था वो वैसे आगे गोली लगे उसे देखा और कोई एक ही था I can remember sitting in Lahore with some of the guys who were crossing the border, smuggling arms, and really engaged in the struggle. And they were young men. They were, 18 to 22-year-old men who felt that they were giving something to their community. And they weren't afraid to die, and they weren't crackpots. It was a case that it was just like, patriotic Canadians who went to fight in a war that Canada fought. That's how they're viewing it.
Ian Mulgrew is a Vancouver journalist and author of Unholy Terror, an examination of international Sikh terrorism.
We have seen in the last few years from Vancouver people who are committed to the struggle for Khalistan bomb an airliner and kill 329 people. They sent a bomb to Japan that killed 2 baggage handlers and wounded others. We have seen them attempt to assassinate an Indian minister on Vancouver Island. We have seen beatings. We have seen intimidation here. There isn't a question about that anymore. There are Sikh terrorists operating out of Canada.
Certainly there have been several examples during the past few years of local Sikh terrorist operations. They've tried to suppress Sikhs who've spoken against the armed struggle for Khalistan. They brutally beat Vancouver lawyer Ujjal Dosanjh.
And the next thing I know is a huge figure standing in front of my eyes, and I'm being hit on my head with an iron bar.
Then he opened the door
and stabbed Hardeep Singh Vrach, a reporter for the Indo-Canadian Times.
There was a scuffle. We were just scuffling, like they say. And I'm lucky that sword wasn't here. Sword was here.
There's no question terrorists operate out of Vancouver. The question is, how much support do they have?
It's a very small percentage. Perhaps the number of people who would seriously commit violence is probably fewer than a few hundred within the country. But it only takes a couple of people to put a bomb on a plane and kill 300 people, and that's the problem.
And how far will committed Canadian Sikhs go in their support of armed revolution for the state of Khalistan?
In Canada, what we have is we have some members of the Sikh community who are prepared to commit funds to the struggle for an independent Sikh homeland. We also have a small group of people who are also prepared to die to create that homeland.
Emotionally, Sikhs may agree with armed revolution in the Punjab, but realistically, they don't support this extremism. The majority don't want a separate state of Khalistan, but they do want a better deal from the Indian government. And most think that better deal should come through negotiation.
I mean, there might be Sikh leaders who are quite radical in their approach of getting to what they're trying to do. But that's not what the majority of them believe in. And that's what I believe in too. I mean, there's communication is the best way to do all that.
And anyone that follows the Sikhs, the gurus, they will not ever say, yes, violence is a method. Violence is not a method. I wish it could be stopped. I wish it could be stopped right now. I don't want to see another innocent person, or in fact any person, die.
The idea of the Sant soldier is immensely important in Sikhism. But that doesn't mean that you, in Canada, need to be going onto the battlefield to prove yourself. For Vancouver Sikhs, for Canadian Sikhs, it's this aspect of a spiritual warrior that's really important, a warrior on the spiritual plane.
And becoming a warrior on the spiritual plane was how most Vancouver Sikhs reacted to the invasion of the Golden Temple. They didn't pick up guns, they picked up the Sikh holy book, the Granth Sahib. Sikhs became more visible. They began to grow back their beards and wear turbans. They began to return to the Khalsa. This school was a result of the swing towards fundamentalism. They teach a regular curriculum, but along with that go special classes in Punjabi language and Sikh religion. The Malik children go to Khalsa school. The Maliks hope it will make sure their children grow up with a deep sense of their religious and cultural roots.
The way we are bringing them up, I am 90% sure that they will continue to grow up into adulthood as Sikhs and practice Sikhism to 90% degree as we are doing now.
I cope with it, what I'm allowed to do, what I'm allowed not to do, such as cutting my hair and all this. So I believe in my religion, so I just stick to it.
Jessica Jasdeep is her name. My kids will probably know a little bit less about my culture than I do, and their kids will know a little even less. It's just a natural process. As parents, you attempt to keep them aware of the language and the culture, but it's a difficult task to do.
The thought of assimilation doesn't bother some in the Sikh community.
I think the new generation is realizing more and more that how important it is to be in tune with the rest of the community rather than being, standing by themselves.
Oh, what do you think of this one?
But for many, assimilation is a real threat. They equate it with a loss of identity, a loss of their traditions, a loss of their sense of who they are.
It's this whole identity of myself that keeps me going well in this Western culture. Possibly if I gave it all up, who knows what I'd be like.
Even before the attack on the Golden Temple, many Sikhs were returning to their religious roots. It was a way of coping in a new land. Their religion gave them some security. With their religion intact, Canadian Sikhs could deal with the pressures of assimilation. With their religion under attack after the invasion of the Golden Temple, many Canadian Sikhs felt like they'd been cast adrift. What Canadians considered to be extremism in the Sikh community was no more than the reactions of people trying to restore some sense of stability in their lives.
The Sikh community here has made a decision, for the most part. There may be exceptions to it, but the important leadership in the Sikh community has already made the decision that they are Canadians. And while they are concerned about what happens in Punjab, they're also Canadians first, and their homes are here.
As the shock of the Golden Temple has receded into the past, Vancouver's Sikh community has begun to once again settle into their life in Canada. And the more deeply they settle, the more Canadian they become. We'll probably see less turban Sikhs in the future. That won't mean the community is losing its faith, merely that it's adapting. But continued disturbances in the Punjab could change all of that. The one thing that brings a Sikh back to the Khalsa is feeling that his faith needs defending, and that once again he must assume his role as the saint soldier, in his heart, if not on the battlefield.
I again repeat how flexible and adaptable the Sikhs are, so that they will remain Sikhs, but they will be Sikhs in a Canadian context.
Yes!
And that's all for this special edition. We're off for the next few weeks while Canada goes for gold at the Seoul Olympics. But we're back October 3rd with an exclusive interview with Squamish 5 member Julie Belmas, a look at the horrors of the drug Ritalin, and we'll introduce our new reporter, Jari Brody. I'm Terry Glakoff. Join us 3 weeks from now for another Pacific Report.